Okay, this tutorial is going to be for the area editor. But first, what I did is I created a new module, and I'm calling it tutorial. It's going to be used for creating the various editor tutorials. And I'm going to need to assign an area and a starting point once I create an area. So let's go ahead and look at the area editor. And let's start with a 2D. We'll start with a 2D, a small area. Okay, and it fills up with just grass. And so what we have here, at the very top, is this information button. And that, when you click on a square, it'll tell you the location you clicked on and the 3 different layers, the tile file names for those 3 layers. Layer 1 is grass, and then there's blank. The other 2, it also tells you if there's a trigger on the square. Triggers can be used for triggering different events, like a conversation or an encounter or a container, different things like that. This tells you if the square is walkable, if the player characters can walk on the square or not. And this tells you if it's line of sight blocking. And that helps with the fog of war, the black area that you won't be able to see until you kind of walk around. And then the zoom level is also on the information tab, and that's if you have really large maps, you might have to zoom out a little bit. This one, we're just stay the normal zoom. The next tab is for painting tiles, and there's 4 different filtering buttons here. This first filtering button is kind of miscellaneous tiles, and right here is just a black square. That's a blank or kind of an eraser. Okay, so that's the miscellaneous. This one is a list of floor tiles and also walls. And then this tab is for man-made objects and also nature objects, trees, rocks, such. And then this last one is the user builders folder. And so if you create your own custom tiles and you stick them in the graphics folder, they'll show up here. Okay. I'm going to move that down. The other thing is there's these buttons here for showing the different layers. Layer 1 is the only thing that has something on it right now. And then when you're editing layers, you tap on these to tell which layer you want to place object. Okay. The next one is the trigger panel. And if you want to create a new trigger, you click there, and then that places it. And you can continue to place, that same trigger anywhere you want. And if you click on any of these, they are all the same trigger. If we come back to our info tab, you can see now it says new trigger 102. And all of these are they're just different locations for the same trigger. So if you step on any one of these, it'll trigger the same event. So go back to the trigger. Now, so that placed it. If you want to edit this, you click on this edit button. And by tapping on it, it'll actually erase them or place them again. So that's how you want to add an additional location, or you want to remove a location, you just tap on it. You can also edit the different types. There's 3 different events you can have. One of the first things I like to do is I like to come in here and change the trigger name. But we'll come back and do that once we figure out whether or not we're going to actually place a trigger. So we'll move on for now. this is the tab right here for making squares blockable or open. So if I don't want somebody to step on some squares, I just tap on them, they turn red. If I don't want to be able to see through, like if there's trees or mountains, you tap and you get the purple X, and you won't be able to see through that. Or we can turn that off, and we can make them walkable by doing that. The other thing here is, in this section, you can change the size of the map. Right now it's a 10 by 10. You can actually add, make an 11. You can change it to a 20 by 15 or any size you want by doing that. This button here is for doing the 3D view. If the map was a 3D model or a 3D area, then you could actually kind of walk through the area, what it would look like, but this one's 2D, so that doesn't really give you anything useful. The other one is the settings button. One of the things we want to do is we want to change this area name, and I'm going to call it, let's see, area, I'm going to call it path. So that's the name of the area. And in the game, I don't think I use this just yet, but let's call it pathway. There's not going to be any music for it. Visible distance of 4. Let's change it to 3, so you can see 3 squares. That's the distance you can see, and that impacts the fog of war. Time per square, 6 seconds, that's fine, per step. 3D view, no, it's not, it's 2D. Resting loud, sure. Fog of war, use it, yes we will. And then day-night cycle, we'll just leave that no for now. Oh, we'll turn it on. Okay, so those are the things you want to set. So now we can actually, let's keep that down here. Let's go ahead and save this. Click on save. And then let's go back to our module settings and let's have this be starting area's path. And let's start at X of 4 and Y of, we'll just say 5. So 4, 5. Okay, so let's come back into our area. So if we come back to the info tab and we see 4, 5 is going to be right here. That's where we're going to start. So on the square, let's go ahead and see if we can add some stuff to here. So we're going to call it a path. It's going to be a dark, make a little walking area, dirt path. So we can kind of just draw some squares, and there's going to be a little pathway through the forest. And let's do some trees. Ooh, we're going to have a cave. Oh wait, I want to put that on layer 2. So let's go back to our grass tile on layer 1. So on layer 2, we want to undo that one on layer 1. Okay, so you've got the little cave entrance. Let's put some trees around. Use these trees. Oh, we're on layer 1 again. Let's go back to layer 1, and then we're going to do layer 2 for the trees. And we'll just place some trees around here. I feel like I'm Bob Ross or something. Just drawing a little here, there. Okay, and then what we're going to do now is, so we got some trees on there, let's come back to making some block. So we'll say that you can't step on these. Okay, now my daughter's helping me out. Okay, let's see. Line of sight blocking. So we'll make it so you can't see through the trees. All right, that's good. And then, so the other important thing is, let's go ahead and save this. And then let's also, let's do a transition. Yeah, so let's create another area, and this is gonna be a 3D area, a small one. We're gonna make a cave. And looks like it's missing tiles for backdrops, a cave. We'll do that one for the cave. Cave background. And then for walls, dark cave, we'll do that one. So we're gonna do, let's just do, we'll do walls all around the outside. And then we'll need an entrance to the cave. We'll say that this is going to be kind of an entrance, but then let's do, so we're doing walls. Kind of make a little bit of an exploration area. Let's see.
It's like a maze.
Yeah, a little maze. Okay, that's fine. Now we can kind of test it out using, and if you tap on the little mini map, it'll kind of jump you around. And then turn around. So that's like an exit. All right, now we also need to, so that's fine. Let's make walkable block. So let's block so you can't walk through the walls.
Outside. Okay, that's it, I think.
Yeah. And then
keep entrance to be blocked. Oh, so.
Yeah, you can walk on that. So now that, let's save that. Let's also give this into the settings, let's change the name and we'll call it cave.
Cave and path. Path cave.
Let's call it cave.
Okay.
And then we'll leave, let's see, not day night cycle, no. Use the mini map less loud, no. Visible distance, this won't really matter actually because it's not a 2D and there's no fog of wars. But we'll do that. Okay, so that's all fine. Now this is what I wanted to show, was doing a transition. So let's save that. Let's go to our path area. And if we go up to info, we'll see that this square is 8.3. So when we exit the cave, when we come out of the cave, let's have us land right here, which is 8.4. So we'll go back to the cave. We're going to do a trigger. We're going to create a new one right here. Then we're going to edit it. On the event 1, we're going to do, the type is going to be transition. And we're going to go to our path area. And then I think we said 8.4. Did we say 8.4? 8.3.
Yeah, it was 8.4.
We'll check that out again. But okay, so let's call this trigger. For the transitions, you don't always have to give them a name, but I'll just call it cave exit trig. And let's see, do we need to do anything else for that? No, I think the name's fine. Event 1 there, so it'll always do the transition. Okay. Now the other thing is when we come back, 2.4, okay, you remember 2.4. That's where we're gonna, when we enter the cave, we want to land right here on 2.4. So you remember that. Okay, so let's save that. And then we'll go to this area, path. And let's see, was it 8.4? It was 8.4. Okay. So let's set up a trigger, a new one right here. And let's see, let's do the event 1, type. Oh, we forgot we gotta click on edit, or else you won't be able to tap on anything. Okay, transition to the cave, and then what was the numbers?
2.4.
2 and 4. Okay, so we're going to transition to cave. And we'll turn off the editing. So you can see we've got different triggers. That one's 5. Okay, so save. All right, so that's pretty much, we've seen all the different buttons, what they do. Now we can, let's test it out. These triggers over here, of course, don't do anything right now. I just dropped them there. We'll change those to be like an NPC that we can talk to or something in a later one. So let's go ahead and we'll hit save, and then we are going to exit out, and then let's hit play. And tutorial. And if we had everything set up right, you should be able to start. All right, so there we are on our map. And since we have the day-night cycle on, it looks like it started at kind of nighttime.
And it gone to the morning.
Yeah, it'll get lighter in a little bit. There you go. So go into the cave, and it works.
Here.
So we can kind of walk around the cave, or we can come back.
Can't go through the walls.
No, we can turn the mini map on.
Try walking through the walls.
Oh, let's see. No, doesn't do anything. That doesn't do anything. Okay, let's see if our transition worked. Yep, out we came. And if we try to walk through the trees, we can't go through the trees. We can turn this button here, and of course it'll show us where all of our line of sight blocking ones. But you can see how, like, this is blocked, this square is blocked, these ones in the fog of war because of the line of sight. But if we get close, this one turned away. That one did. The other thing is there's this newer feature, this one right here, button. I'll turn it on. When you do that, it gives you this tooltip. It tells you what the other buttons do. That's the wait button, that's the debug, talk, zoom, sound, clock. and it'll stay in the, you can't do anything. You can't actually move unless you turn that button back off. So there we go. That's a simple tutorial on how to exit out of here. Yep. On how to work with the area editor. Thanks for watching.